Hi friends, it's good to make another video. It's been a long time, like a year. A lot has changed in the Drew P world. We'll talk a little bit about that, but the point of today's video, I'm not gonna keep you in suspense, is to just get right after it and talk about this particular whiskey. Evan Williams Single Barrel, okay? This is not a new whiskey. You've seen it before. If you've been around the industry, we know this. In Wisconsin, it used to be everywhere. Like many other bottles, this was one that we could get. It was great value. It was solid. It was a solid whiskey. And then we received word. I don't know if there was ever like an official press release made, but it became common knowledge that it was going to go away. Well, it doesn't seem to be away anymore. I don't know if that's temporary, but I was very surprised to see it on the shelf today. And I was like, dang, cool. I think I'm going to get one because I like to have some value bourbons around. I'll often give mostly full bottles away. But will I do that with this one? I give the mostly full bottles away if I'm not going to drink all the whiskey. I had too much whiskey. I gave a lot of what I had away except for my absolute bangers. So now when I drink, normally I'm drinking bangers. I like the philosophy of drinking well. Don't drink a lot, but drink really, really good stuff. So I advise you to take that philosophy for yourself. Adopt it, care for it. So this whiskey, it's nice to have a value for parties. Or hey, if you don't want to drink a $200 bottle every night, or from a $200 bottle every night, it feels good if you can get something for $35, which is what I paid for this. Evan Williams Single Barrel, I used to be able to get it for $25 to $30, $35. Still feels like a value for what is now a 9-year-old bourbon. This used to be like a 7 to 8-year-old single barrel product. This particular barrel, vintage 2015, is dated January 24th, 2015. Bottled on February 14th, 2024. That's 9 years old. We like that. That's pretty cool. This is barrel 288 for those keeping track at home who are hoping to hunt this down. But do you want to hunt it down? That's part of what I wanted to talk about. It was always a solid product, but how are we stacking up now? I mentioned it's been a long time since I made a video, about a year. That's evident in the fact that the first time I tried to record this evening, I did not get the audio. So we're back. I had actually bottle popped it on that video. I had poured it. So now you're going to get my redistilled thoughts on the taste, flavor, etc. So I poured it out. And the nose blew me away. Like the nose packs a wallop in a very positive way in that I get like musty oak, not musty like mushrooms or weird genitalia stuff, musty in a rickhouse way, like old, wild, neglected in the best way, white oak barrels and pillars and spider webs. If you're a fan of really well-aged bourbons or dusty products, you're quite familiar with this vibe, and you're probably picking up what I'm laying down. It's got like this honey sweetness with some kind of funky florality. A little, you can tell like some rice spice is in there, but it's not nutty. It's not nutty in the way that like A124 is nutty. This kind of tastes like Booker's, like a Jim Beam product. That's not what this smells like. Some Heaven Hill products can smell that way, but this one, it's not what I'm talking about when I say spice. More in the like black pepper kind of situation. But the most, like, the thing that draws me in, captures me, is that deep, well-aged, heavy char oak in a 86.6% proof product. Normally, I would expect to get a nose that is emanating this much oak in something that's barrel proof, or like a dusty bourbon, something that was bottled like pre-2000. This actually, nose-wise, most reminds me of some dusty products that I've had. I've had some dusty Evan Williams bottled in the 90s. I've had some old Crow Chessman, some old Wild Turkey products. Like this is that, not to like get hyperbolic. I don't want to do that. But that is what it reminds me of almost more than anything else. because those products, those old Dusties, didn't tend to be barrel proof. Like barrel proof phenomenon has come on more in this whole bourbon boom situation, which we should probably check in on that before too long. Before we get to the palate, one other update. I mentioned I moved. The last 2 videos I did prior to like going on hiatus was talking about my brother having cancer, did some fundraising. Thank you to those of you that donated to help with his treatment. He's still with us, which is pro. That was stage 4 cancer. He seems to have licked the thing, which is fantastic. It did take his hearing with him for the most part, and he's got some nerve damage in his extremities, which is not great. I know that's really hard for him, but he's also just very happy to be alive. We're very happy to have him alive. So that's a W. And in other news, I'm doing quite well. My family's doing well. A lot to be thankful for. So on that note, cheers. Let's taste it. The big, powy, zowie, musty oak is just turned down a little bit. There's still plenty of nice sweet oak for an Evan Williams single barrel, more than you would expect. It's delicious. With that sweet oak, you get like a brown sugar simple syrup, so this like syrupy mouthfeel, but with a rich sweetness, and not like, it's not light, it's heavy. It's heavy in a remarkable way, given the proof, given the age. 9 years is pretty good, but we're not talking about a 12 or 15-year-old product. But the oak presence could be, like I've had some 9-year stuff that was much more harsh and much more light, bright, zesty. This is much more dark, smooth, sweet, syrupy, oaky, molassesy, even a little bit. The finish is a little bit spicy in a black pepper way. Again, not a nutty way, not an herbaceous way. But it's a lovely crescendo in a highly drinkable product, in that it starts with this syrup that probably has a touch of maple, goes to brown sugar, hits you with oak, and then it's got kind of this black pepper finish. The finish is probably the weakest part, but for a $35 product, I'm thrilled to see this back on the shelf, which is a theme I'm seeing happen more and more in American whiskey, is age statements coming back. We like that. Knob Creek products all covered in age statements now, and then some products we couldn't find starting to find again. I hadn't seen Elijah Craig Barrel Proof in Milwaukee in a long time. Boom, got A124. Of course, this had gone away. It's back. I could have gotten Remus batch whatever, the last one. Like I passed on Larceny Barrel Proof earlier in favor of this. So there's just stuff sitting out that I didn't used to see anymore, which may be telling us something about consumption habits, maybe telling us something about some of the FOMO around bourbon evolving, maybe telling us something about maybe there's a supply-demand thing on the horizon, maybe it's telling us something about we're all trying to drink less, we got too much in the basement / our wife's art studio that we need to get out of there. Yeah, lots more to talk about in that regard. So bottom line, before I move on, if you see this, particularly barrel 288 9-year-old Evan Williams single barrel, this is an exquisite option as a beginner bourbon. I kind of scoff because normally I would have recommended this in previous videos. It's like, hey, this is if you want to get into bourbon, you want to taste a good one, let's start here. Like I'm affirming that notion still. But this is also a bourbon that, as somebody who really just knows what a great bourbon is, I've tasted thousands at this point, this is fantastic, and I will be drinking this, and I'm going to go back to the store, maybe right now, and see if I can get another bottle, because it's really, really good, and it's the kind of bourbon that I would want to drink on a regular basis. So yeah, cool. I affirm this, 5 out of 5. I'm a big fan. And I think you would be too. I just got back from 2 weeks in Ireland, which was sick. There was golf involved, I'll spare you. But I did drink a decent amount of Irish whiskey. So there's probably a video coming talking about that, sharing my thoughts, experiences with Irish whiskey. if you're watching this channel, you're probably a bourbon person. But listen, I encourage you to watch that too when it comes out, because even if you don't like Irish whiskey, you're gonna learn something. Learning's good. We're pro learning here. So keep an eye out for that. It's been good to see you again, sort of. Not really. I can't see you. It's been fun to make a video again. It's always fun to drink whiskey. That has never changed. And keep your eye out for some more stuff maybe in the future. Got some ideas cooking. Until then, maybe keep it in moderation. And per usual, just keep it neat.